A WWE star is making a Raw return next week. Plus, an AEW producer has been fired following their arrest, and a big title match has been announced for Money in the Bank. It's all in the wrestling news right now. A big return in time for the summer, not just Ross's hay fever, but no, the return. What a good joke that was.
Meat, no potatoes.
Check out the meat on Logan Paul when he pops back on Monday.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Round on the end, high in the middle.
Yeah, he's going to be there. This will be the first time we've seen Logan Paul since his loss to Seth Rollins, of course, on night one of WrestleMania. Recently, Logan Paul re-signed with the company, and it's been wildly reported he'll feature in multiple premium live events throughout the remainder of this calendar year.
Now, whilst the Money in the Bank field seems to have been completed on last night's Raw, at least the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we'll talk about that in a little bit, there was some speculation a few weeks back that Logan Paul would be in the match too.
That could still happen, Tom, throughout storylines and kayfabe. There is a couple of weeks to go, obviously. We could have a situation where someone is whizzle-wazzled out the match because Logan Paul has come back and he is where the money is, probably.
I'd be sad to see any of those whizzled or indeed wazzled heading into Money in the Bank. But the sad thing is, as I look at that list of Money in the Bank names, there's one that sticks out that could be whizzled or wazzled. But we'll talk about him in a little bit. Raw last night was an interesting affair. It wasn't a bad episode of Raw, to be fair.
I haven't seen a second apart from the Rhea Ripley bits. I'll take your word for it, Tom.
Well, the Rhea Ripley bits were, as always, excellent, which ups the ante. And it was another episode of Raw that Vince McMahon did make changes to. Fightful Select say that McMahon was not backstage at the show, but he's been making changes remotely. Now, the changes that he made last night were largely to do with timing, match order, and such. WWE sources also indicated that he was adjusting the aftermath of certain matches as well. Talent have largely said they prefer him making changes remotely, although last week it was one of the more positive received episodes of Raw.
Yeah, we read last week that Raw's episode, the situations where people were doing promos and it led into matches, or promos just after matches, apparently they were shot like 30 or 40 minutes before the show went on the air, or something like that, and apparently they were all Vince McMahon calls to make those things happen, and it just made the show go like that, like David Hasselhoff through the sea.
It's a nice SpongeBob reference.
Yeah.
I like it. See, SpongeBob wrote him in. That's what you were quoting, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to Baywatch. Hasselhoff.
He just used to go like on his back, didn't he, in Baywatch? But I'm on about the powerboat, David Hasselhoff in SpongeBob.
The best one. The best version. So there was one particular match that was cut short last night on Raw. We went to see a little bit more of Chad Gable versus Eric from the Viking Raiders, but instead we got about 90 seconds, if that. It featured Maxine Dupree doing her first ever wrestling move on a wrestler.
A shoot arm drag, by the way.
Shoot arm drag.
I did see, this is another bit I saw backstage when she nails the shoot arm drag on Chad, on the teacher. Yeah. It's a sensational moment.
Really, yeah. So this is sort of a slow build to Maxine Dupree doing more stuff in ring. And I like the way they're building it. They're not just throwing her in there and go and wrestle. They're making the fact that she isn't a wrestler part of the storyline.
And who better to teach her than former Olympian and stand-up guy, jam-up guy, El Dandy. No, it's Chad Gable to get her fixing up and looking sharp inside that wrestling ring. It's a shame. On one hand, it is fantastic. But on the other hand, I'm terrified for the future of MMM. Where are MMM? What have they got to do to get on TV?
Well, hold that thought, because we'll talk more about them in the next news video. Lots to talk about Mache and Mansoir in a little bit. But the match was cut short last night. Better Wrestling Experience revealing that one, saying it was supposed to go longer, possibly because of a prior segment overrunning. The match got cut right down. And as you said, because I know Chad Gable did fine in 2 minutes, I always like to see Chad Gable go longer in matches.
Yeah, same. And it's nice to see him win from time to time. We always say on the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast on the Fridays, he's got so good at making other people look good. That's all he does now. Yeah. It's about time he won a few matches and got a little push, please.
Give him some wins, I thank you. Next bit comes with a bit of a trigger warning. Hold fire on this one. This is the story of AEW, now former AEW producer BJ Whitmer, who was fired from All Elite Wrestling yesterday following his recent arrest. Now, Boone County Sheriff's Department in Kentucky put Whitmer under arrest on Sunday, June the 4th, on serious charges relating to first-degree assault and second-degree burglary. Now, Whitmer was released from incarceration just yesterday with a $25,000 bond. He will appear before a judge to face the charges. He's been a part of AEW's production team since 2019, and as soon as he was released, AEW put out a short statement, didn't they?
Yeah, BJ Whitmer has been terminated following his arrest. While talent and staff are ultimately responsible for their own personal actions, this behaviour is intolerable within AEW. AEW has reached out to offer support to those impacted by his behaviour.
More on that as we get it at cultaholic.com. Let's look to Money in the Bank coming out of London in just a couple of weeks' time. Are you excited for Money in the Bank?
Very excited. I am part of the awesome foursome heading down there.
You're going to go and see the sights and smells of London town.
Yeah, not so much that. I'm not a fan of London. Too busy for me. Too many people.
It is quite busy, and you can't chat to people on the tube.
Yeah.
It's like the metro where everyone's singing Sam Fender songs like
And
we were
they're
on the
a
weekend.
sweatbox, aren't they? Disgusting.
Oh, they are a bit sweaty. Some matches have been made after Rhea Ripley got presented with her new WWE Women's World title. By the way, that's gorgeous.
It's lovely, isn't it? The white stripe really makes it pop at the front there. I'm going to sneeze in a second, Tom.
Now you
Elephant,
do,
elephant, you talk.
So, well, after she was presented with the title, Dominic Mysterio came out to celebrate with Mammy. Good morning, Mammy, by the way.
Up the mother.
Up the mother. Love your new belt, lovely. Now, when that happened, Cody Rhodes made his presence felt, and this bit of back and forth led to a match being made between Cody and Dom for Money in the Bank, a match that was agreed to by Rhea on behalf of Dom.
And on top of that, Dom got another shot in on Cody, then ran away like the brave boy that he is.
He's a brave prison boy.
I don't care what the ladder matches are. I don't care what the world title match is. That's the real main event there, Dom versus Cody.
Riddle me this. I was chatting to Fraser about this upstairs. Is Dom really getting booed against Cody by that London crowd?
Oh, do you reckon he'll get a little ironic cheer from time to time?
I think O2 might go Bizarro World, and we might get boos of Cody and cheers for Dom.
That would be quite funny.
It would be because I was at Clash of the Castle when Dom turned heel.
And there was a big pop. It was
Massive pop.
Yeah.
May or may not have been leading it, but a massive pop. I just feel like,
I don't know, like, because the way he's been getting booed is it's been miraculous, hasn't it? The way he just breathes, and then it's like, so it remains to be seen. But I can see either situation happening there.
I also want to put out as a prediction, maybe a 9 pitches style thing. I think Dom beats him.
Yeah, I think he does as well. Knock down Cody even more.
I reckon you see Brock Lesnar make an appearance.
Prison Brock.
F5's Cody, and Dom literally gets thrown on top of Cody by Rhea Ripley. 3 count.
I'd love
win.
to see the scene where it's like Brock Lesnar's like Dr. Evil in prison, and then Dom is like Mini-Me in prison. Hard Knock Life duet by Brock and Dom.
£1 million, because they're in the UK. So Dom and Cody happening in London. We have a world title match in London as well, don't we?
Yes, Finn Balor once again confronted Seth Rollins on last night's Raw, and you'll never guess who is going to, have the wrestles against Seth Rollins in London for the title. Just after what I've said there, it's Finn Balor, everybody. It's a shocking turn of events, I know. It's just, I think it's going to be one of those matches where it sort of builds a nice little bit of momentum for Seth Rollins heading forward into the summer.
But it also calls back to 2016 in the promo they had back and forth. Finn Balor held Seth Rollins responsible for the tarnation of his first attempt at main event status elevation because he was injured in that match for the Universal title that he won, and then he had to vacate the title immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that was a funny moment last week where Rollins was like, ha ha, he got injured, ha ha, I did it basically. That noble babyface Seth Rollins laughing at another man's peril.
Noble babyface Seth Rollins will put out an open challenge for the WWE World title next week. What a grafter he is as world champion. I like it.
You're telling me. Bron Breakker called him out last week on NXT, so we could be seeing Seth Rollins going to NXT as well, on top of this open challenge, unless, of course, Bron Breakker could be the one to answer the open challenge. He has got that there dog within him.
Wow.
As he likes to say.
That's a nice little idea. So Seth versus Balor for the world title at Money in the Bank, as well as Cody versus Dom. Other matches, well, so far, just the other 2 Money in the Bank matches. The men's match, which features Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, and Damian Priest. I think if Logan Paul's going to take anybody out of the match, I'm sorry, I think it's going to be Santos Escobar.
Why?
I can't see him taking LA Knight out, or Ricochet, or Nakamura. Certainly not Butch. If
Oh,
it's
and
in the
Logan
UK.
Paul have against Santos.
Just boot him. I want to be in that match. Buff, bye. I don't like it, but I'll have to go along with it.
I guess that's the thing you could label it that field of characters is maybe is there a lack of proper main event star power in there? Nakamura, Damian Priest.
But I guess that's kind of the thing with the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's not meant to be really main event star power. It's meant to be people. It's a device that you use to get elevated to main event status.
Yeah.
So I'm not against there not being a litany of world champions in a match like that.
As long as LA Knight wins, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
The pot for LA Nice, which stands for Lower Aston. I was trying to think of somewhere in the UK that began with A, and Aston was the only place that came out of my head.
Up the Villa, up the Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish. Jack. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match also happening. Becky Lynch, Bayley, Io Sky, Zoe Stark, Zelina Vega, and one more name to be determined.
TBD. No idea who that'll be.
No, I have to think who you could probably put in.
Who's lost a qualifying match so far?
Logan Paul. Put Logan Paul in there.
Why the hell not?
That's it writes itself. It solves all problems. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Up the mammy.